With Ukraine under constant, brutal Russian assault, the country's medical system would be in critical condition without allies like Vlada Galan. Galan, a Ukrainian-American born in Odesa, now from Atlanta, whisks into Kyiv every few months to check up on the charitable organization she founded here, the International Ukrainian Crisis Fund. Since the early days of Russia's full-scale invasion, it's distributed more than $7 million in aid. What are you hearing from medics on the front line? Do they have the supplies they need?
No, they certainly don't. They're always undersupplied.
Undersupplied when it comes to routine items.
All the different types of bandages.
And also specialized ones.
It is for specific patients that have had a stroke. It can go in any area.
Others specific to battlefield wounds.
It goes around this area. It stops real critical wounds.
Critical injuries to civilians from Russian airstrikes in recent weeks, afflicting hundreds of new victims. How do you know what the medical community here needs?
We have an incredible network of doctors nationwide. We have calls with them almost on a weekly, bi-weekly basis where they are sending us updated lists of what they need. We have a huge focus on areas that are closer to the hot zone regions.
How does Galan's International Ukrainian Crisis Fund help fulfill the very specific wish list of trauma doctors, surgeons, and specialists? Contact, including leaders across 5 continents to whom she administers political first aid.
I'm a political consultant, and I do election work, lobbying work, and crisis communications type work.
She's rarely home. She's in Albania meeting with the prime minister, in Zimbabwe advising the country's president, or in Azerbaijan holding press conferences. 2.5 years ago, when Russia launched its full-scale invasion of her native country, she was ready to return and fight.
I called my husband. He said, "You're out of your mind. You can do so much more by leveraging your contacts than trying to pick up a weapon and go out and fight."
Instead of picking up a gun, she picked up the phone. Why are you effective in getting donations of medical supplies from people in the United States?
I don't like no for an answer.
What's your niche?
What we focused on heavily is specific needs that are not being supplied by mass organizations.
Needs like children's hospital beds that came from the U.S.
It's always a bit emotional every time these supplies go out because you think to yourself, whose life is this going to save? Is this going to be a father, a brother, a son to someone?
Are donors getting tired of this?
Donors are lethargic from just hearing about the war. And I think that is exactly what Putin wants. He wants there to be this exhaustion, this war fatigue. Despite
the war fatigue, her organization has brought in $1 million in supplies so far this year. Of all the supplies that she brings in, one speaks loudest to the violence of this deadly war. Most on demand on her list, tourniquets, the life-saving device every soldier must carry.
One of the things that we're incredibly always short on is there's never enough tourniquets, and when we get them, they go very, very fast.
That means they're using a lot of tourniquets.
Yes.
And each one of them, we're talking about a limb that may be lost.
Or a life that may be saved.
Jason Bellini, Scripps News, Kyiv, Ukraine.